I wonder. Click.
They've admitted they're 15 years away from being able to travel to the moon, and that's being optimistic. We can't go to the moon. We didn't go to the moon. It's that simple, you guys. Prove me wrong.
Absolutely insane. And so I'm sitting here, I'm watching it happen in real time. I'm like, they're not even trying to hide it from us anymore. Oh my god, it blows my mind, dude. So then I wake up the next morning and Facebook, gone. They deleted me completely. They were censoring me the very next day. The First Amendment is dead, you guys. The government has the technology to spread propaganda and misinformation like we've never seen in history. This is legit the Great Reset. It's happening right now. We deserve to know what's really going on. This is the Uncensored Truth.
What's up, guys? It's Jeremy with the Uncensored Truth, the podcast designed to free your minds from the grips of the mainstream media by giving you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the uncensored truth. Today, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to dive into the world of conspiracy theories and talk about the crazy conspiracy theory that we landed on the moon. That is right. There are people who legitimately believe we flew a rocket ship up into space and landed on the moon. And they tell people these stories. They tell their kids this story to help them fall asleep at night. They say, hey, little Johnny, guess what? Once upon a time, we flew a rocket ship 250,000 miles into space and landed on a dust ball and walked around and looked around and drove around for a couple days and then flew 250,000 miles back on our rocket ship, and here we are now back on Earth. And people believe that shit. I mean, kids believe it, but for the most part, when you really think about it, it's nonsense. It is complete fucking gibberish nonsense, man. Never happened. No way. And that's what I'm going to talk about on this episode here. But I know you guys are probably like, well, why aren't you going to talk about the Great Reset, COVID-19, vaccines, shit like that, shit that I always talk about? And the reason is I can't. It's been over a year since I have uploaded a video or an episode to YouTube because the shit that I'm talking about cannot go on YouTube. If I put it on there, the channel will be deleted. There are people on YouTube who have subscribed to my channel, not many, but there are some, who have not gotten an episode in a long time. So I want to get into this. I want to do an episode where I'm talking about conspiracy theories and just more of an entertainment side of things here and put it on YouTube and whatever. I just want to do something that's not going to get run over by the cancel culture bus and, take a break from that stuff because it's insane. Yeah, I can talk about the Great Reset. I can talk about how Biden signed a executive order pretty much guaranteeing we will be moving to a digital cryptocurrency, a central bank digital currency, CBDC. That's part of the Great Reset. The Great Reset also says that we're going to move to a Chinese social credit score, or a social credit score. It's being implemented right now in China. We will be there soon. We're headed there. Every single day it seems like we get closer and closer. He signed the executive order back in March, and it's supposed to take place December 13th, I think, of this year, but I don't know if it's actually going to, that's the minute we transition from the US dollar to a digital cryptocurrency, or if it's when they start rolling it out. Regardless, we're going to get there. It's going to happen. And my point is this all used to be crazy conspiracy theory shit, and it's not. It's real. Like, now it's happening before your eyes. If you want to see something crazy, go back and watch my old episodes. Back when they came out and I started talking about vaccine passports. Oh no, they're not going to do that. That's crazy. They did it. Then I told you guys, these vaccines are going to be forever. They're not just going to give you a vaccine to fix COVID. No, they're going to try and make you take vaccines for the rest of your life. And they just announced days ago that this is going to be more like your flu vaccine. You will have to have an annual COVID vaccine, and in some instances, probably more than once a year. Because of the new variants, whatever, man. It's going to be forever. I told you this was going to happen. It was looked at as being crazy back then, and now it's a reality. Everything that we talk about, Alex Jones. I mean, the guy is probably a crazy person. He really is. But the things he's been saying, his ideas, they're happening. They're coming true. It's real. Alex Jones was right is not just a meme. It's reality. So I can talk about all that garbage, you guys. I can do that. But what it's going to do is it's going to get me canceled off of social media. It's going to get my Facebook taken down. It's going to get all my social media shit taken down. Therefore, you will not be able to see it. Every episode I mention the Great Reset. I mention how we are getting 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps closer to this Great Reset, but it's not news anymore. You guys should know that. You should be very familiar with the Great Reset and how they are rolling this shit out every single day. Smart cities. These corporations are going to create smart cities for their employees and their families to live in. And Google, Facebook, Apple, they've all created them already. Facebook's got one just outside of San Francisco. I believe Google and Apple also are in that same area, but they're already creating their smart cities. Guaranteed future income, like that is going to be a thing. Of course, the middle class, rich people, they're going to hate it. But those that are in poverty, a majority of the world's population, they're going to own nothing, and supposedly they're going to love it. That's why they're trying to destroy the middle class, because they do not want the middle class fighting this. My gosh, who am I? I'm nobody. Sorry, guys. I did it again. I keep getting distracted because I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, you guys. But long story short, all of these things I've talked about in the past that have to do with the Great Reset, they're coming true. I can talk about it again. It's just frustrating. I know that most of the people who watch or listen to my show already know about this, but it doesn't... I'm going to open up my Rockstar. How about that? Just sitting there getting warm. Not on my watch. Get inside me. My Lord, that's tasty. Not good for you at all. Bad for you. Real bad for you, but it's tasty as a sumbitch. Anyways, Great Reset, bullshit. Today, though, get away from that. Let's just step away from the Great Reset. Let's just forget I ever mentioned it. I'm sorry, you guys. You already know that I've been right about the Great Reset. You already know that most people who talk about the Great Reset have been right about it. It's happening. It's going to happen. But today, we're taking a break from that. We're going to talk about the moon landing. This is going to actually be a pretty quick episode because of the fact that it's really easy to prove that not prove 100%, but it's really easy to explain why I don't believe we went to the moon. Why I think it's impossible because of the fact that it can't happen. There's no way it happened because there's no way it can happen. Arguably the greatest accomplishment of mankind, the greatest thing we've ever done ever in the history of ever. And the fact that conspiracy theorists, since it happened back in 1969, I believe, conspiracy theorists have been like, this doesn't seem right. I'm just not falling for this. Whatever. They were called conspiracy theorists. The term conspiracy theorist was created shortly after JFK had been assassinated. It was to target and label anybody who questioned the narrative around the story of the assassination of JFK. And then it just got labeled to anybody who questioned anything, questioned the narrative surrounding anything. If the mainstream media is talking about something and somebody questions that, they're a conspiracy theorist. Now they've coupled that with being a white supremacist as well, so that you're terrified to talk about conspiracy theories. But regardless, a lot of people thought that the story surrounding the moon landing was bullshit, and I'm going to get into why that is. I know a lot of you are probably going to think or say, what's the point, man? Why do we care whether or not we went to the moon? It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's a huge deal. I don't think you guys understand how much money we give NASA every single year. And NASA, I don't know if you guys know this, was created just a decade beforehand. I can't remember how long NASA has been around, but it hadn't been around that long. So of course, they needed to do something to prove to the world that this organization here, it's legit. It deserves to get a lot of money, no questions asked whatsoever, in order to do whatever it is they need to do, or whatever they are. I think it's just a huge shell company with basically free money for the globalists. Globalists run this piece of shit organization called NASA that was created by Nazis. That is a fact. And then they suck in billions upon billions of dollars and all profit. And every once in a while they show you a photo or talk some nerdy, geeky NASA shit just to let you know, hey, we're still here. We're still here for a reason, and give us your money. But most people have no idea how much money we even give NASA. NASA gets roughly $23 billion per year from the taxpayers. $63 million per day. That's $2.3 million per hour. They spend they spend over $2 million an hour just existing. I think it's closer to like 2.6 million, actually, now that I think about it. But it doesn't matter. It's a lot of fucking money, you guys. $45,000 per minute. Some of you out there take a full year of hard fucking work to make $45,000. They spend that every single minute of the day. Insane. Lots of money. That's why it's important. Because NASA has done nothing other than show us photos every once in a while. NASA does nothing, in my opinion. I think it's a big fucking sham. But we went to the moon. 50 fucking years ago, we went to the moon, allegedly. And that is why we continue to pour more and more, and it grows every single year. We give them more and more money every single year. It continues to climb while they just sit there and do whatever they look at computer screens, and they look off into space and save us from asteroids and comets and rogue planets, whatever the fuck they do. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on it. Yep. Anyways, that is why it's a big deal. It's because of the money. It's always the money, but that's why it's important that you guys know the truth, whether or not we went to the moon, because nobody ever questions NASA. Yum, dude, that is so good. I fucking love you. My gosh. My lip is hurt, guys. I hurt my lip. Split it open. Probably getting my ass kicked talking about shit. This is what happens. You talk about this type of shit, and a split lip is the least of your worries. Anyways, yummy rockstar. Delish. Sorry about the ugly lip. You just have to put up with it, guys. Anyways, for the most part, people, they don't even question why we give NASA so much fucking money. They don't. Like, it's not, NASA never gets investigated. They never get questioned about anything. We just pour billions of dollars into their pockets and just look the other way. We don't even ask questions, man. We need to start asking questions. I've always wondered what they do with the money. Like, we always get these images, like once every couple weeks, you'll see this image on Google News or wherever that just shows this glowing light in the sky. It just looks like a light that's underwater, just this blurry little ball. And they're like, we found a new planet. We found a new asteroid or whatever the fuck it is. And it's like, you know, when they try to show us images of the stars we can see with our naked eye, it's still the same thing. The blurry little ball that looks like it's underwater. It looks like a light underwater with like waves over it. It's always the same exact image. And what's funny is I can pick a star in the sky. I can grab my cell phone. I can zoom in on my cell phone's camera and it looks exactly the fucking same. So their billion-dollar telescopes that they've created and invented, how come they can't give us better images of these stars that we can see with our naked eye? They can't, because it's impossible, because it's fucking fake. It's all cartoons, baby. They're making shit up. So it's frustrating. I hate NASA. I've always been against NASA. I guess the cat's kind of out of the bag here. You guys probably know where I stand with the whole moon landing thing. Yeah, I think it's fake, and I'm going to explain to you why I think it never happened. So buckle up. It's going to be quick because there's really not much to discuss. Most of the things that I'm going to talk about are hearsay, whatever. But there's one big reason why I do not believe we went to the moon, and it's just there's no dispute. There's no way around it. It's the reason we haven't been to the moon since. It's the reason why NASA has explained they don't go to the moon now. Because they can't. It's admitted by NASA. But here's what I'm talking about, guys. Wait. No. Back up. Stop. First, I would like to tell you, do your own research. Look up this stuff on your own. It's actually interesting. So it's not going to be some boring shit that you're trying to look some shit up to prove Jeremy wrong. No. It's actually very interesting. It's fascinating information. Just look into the moon landing. Look at how fake all of it is. And just have fun with it, man. Do your own research, because I don't want you to just, again, believe everything that I say. I've done a lot of research. I've researched this for a few years now. And yeah, every single time I look into this, it's just like, yeah, no way, dude. Absolutely no way this happened. I do want you guys to know that a lot of the information that I am going to share with you, I got from Bart Sorrell. He's written several books on this subject. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Moon Men, I think, and then Astronauts Gone Wild. 3 very good books, a lot of information, and basically explains how it was impossible. He has done a ton of research into this. He's been attacked by the CIA. I mean, he's on the radar as being a bad guy. I wouldn't be surprised if this dude gets wiped out soon. But he's had interviews with astronauts on their deathbed where they've said, yeah, this never ever happened. It was all filmed in a freaking warehouse somewhere. Can't remember where. His theory is that it was all filmed in a studio type setting a year before we ever watched it happen live on TV. And this was according to people inside NASA, deep within the military, very close to the president, who said that is what happened. They've talked with him. He's had interviews with them. There's people out there who are trying to give the truth. There's people who have died trying to get this truth out there. And yeah, he explains a lot of that stuff. He goes into a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go into those things, because I'm not the one who interviewed those people. I'm not the one who gathered that information. So I don't check out his book. You know, he's got documentaries. A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. That's actually a pretty good documentary. In his documentary, he shows, because I'm going off on a tangent here like I always do, but in this documentary by Bart Sorrell, there's video footage of NASA when they were supposedly halfway to the moon, and they're looking out their window, and you see this tiny little ball that's supposed to be Earth. And in the video, you actually see them staging the shot, and they have this piece of cardboard on the window that's only showing you a tiny piece of Earth, when in fact, when you remove the cardboard, the whole window is lit up, because they're still right next to Earth. They're not even outside of lower Earth orbit yet. They might be just outside, where Earth still takes up the whole window. But what they did is they have this cardboard insert that with just a hole in it to make it look like that was Earth from far away. It's crazy. You'd have to watch the documentary to see them actually preparing this shot for the shot that we saw years ago, and it's the same fucking moment. You can see when they actually staged the shot, and of course that video footage has been destroyed. Long story short, watch the documentary. You'll see it. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm probably doing a horrible job of explaining it, but every bit of it has been made up. Every bit of it was staged, and that documentary and his books prove a lot of that and explain a lot of that better than I can. I'm going to focus on just a couple things that I think are probably the most important and the most obvious reasons why we didn't go. And the biggest thing is the fact that we cannot do it. We do not have the technology to go to the moon today. We do not. It does not exist. This is admitted by NASA. So 50 years ago, we created this rocket ship that was able to travel 30,000 miles per hour to get to the moon, which is 250,000 miles away. Just think about that. 250,000 miles away. That means we are either 250,000 miles farther away from the sun, or we are 250,000 miles closer to the sun. And you know, on Earth, which happens to be 24,000 miles in circumference, that one side of the Earth is a frozen tundra, while the other side of the Earth is a boiling hot desert. And that's only a difference of 20-some thousand miles. Think about being 250,000 miles difference. They are either freezing to death instantly, or they are burning alive instantly. How is that possible? It doesn't make any sense. That there doesn't make any sense. Forget about that, though. The process of actually getting to the moon, way too difficult. They couldn't have done it. They say they did it with this submarine sandwich, fat oblong rocket ship that they created. Have you guys watched the new Top Gun movie? I know it's a movie. It's not real. But it's more realistic than the NASA footage that we got of going to the moon. Now, in the very beginning of that movie of Top Gun, he's flying this jet that goes super fucking fast. I think he was doing like 900, almost 1,000 miles per hour. I believe this jet's top speed is like 1,200 miles per hour. But the thing is super skinny, super aerodynamic, barely takes up, like it's literally probably just wide enough to be able to fit a human being inside. And it just leveled out, aerodynamic, looks insane compared to the submarine sandwich rocket ship that we took that looks like a thumb. And in the movie, he's doing 900 and some miles per hour. And the wings, the window, everything starts glowing red because of how fast he's flying and because of just the atmosphere that he's in, the environment burning up the plane from just traveling way too fast. That plane was struggling to go 1,000 miles per hour. Yet we're supposed to believe that NASA space shuttle was able to go 30,000 miles per hour for 3 days to get to the moon. Bullshit. That didn't happen. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I haven't even mentioned the biggest thing yet. There is a belt surrounding the Earth. It's called the Van Allen radiation belts. Now I'm going to get a little nerdy here and explain to you what this is. Supposedly, the core of the Earth is molten iron, and it swirls around, and as it does this, it creates this magnetic field, or it magnetizes a magnetic field, and it surrounds the Earth almost like an invisible shell. It's super strong. These magnetic fields cause these radiation belts to form, and that's what's known as the Van Allen radiation belt. Two radiation belts, and they're named after James Van Allen. I think that's the person that actually discovered the radiation belts. He sent a rocket ship into space, actually had the radiation measured to find out how much there was. Can't remember exactly how that all worked out, but it was named after the person who discovered these radiation belts several years ago, decades, long before the mission to the moon. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to like recent news coming out of NASA, but they're actually planning on sending an unmanned vessel to or beyond the radiation belts. And the thing is they're doing it in order to test this vessel to see if it is able to travel through the belts successfully. And the thing that's crazy is the radiation belts are a pretty big deal. They're the reason why we can't get to the moon now. It's admitted by NASA that we can't travel safely through these belts, and until we have the technology to be able to do so, we cannot go to the moon. It's impossible. My point is, if we did it a long time ago, why don't we use that same technology? Well, they destroyed it. They destroyed the space shuttle that took us to the moon. They destroyed the blueprints to this space shuttle that took us to the moon. They cannot reverse engineer this technology because they do not have it. They cannot create this technology because they do not have it. It doesn't exist. They have to basically start from scratch. Now, why would they destroy that stuff? Think about it. Why would they destroy the shuttle that took us to the moon? The greatest feat in mankind. Why would they destroy it? The reason is, we can say, well, if this here is what took you to the moon, we can tell by looking at it, we can tell by the way it's designed, we can tell by the blueprints, by the schematics, that is impossible to transport a human body through these radiation belts. They don't want people looking into that shit because then we would be able to debunk it immediately. So they destroyed all the evidence. That's exactly what happened. And if you don't believe me, just look it up, man. It's all been destroyed. The original video footage of them going to the moon, destroyed. They said they recorded over the footage because of budgeting issues at NASA. This isn't me making bullshit up. This is real. This is from NASA, you guys. So now all we have is like third and fourth generation footage that's been duplicated from uploaded images from the internet. We do not have the raw footage anymore. It's been destroyed. Everything related to the moon missions have been destroyed. I think they went there 6 different times between 1969 and 1972 or 73. 6, 7, 5 different times. I can't remember the exact amount. But all the information, all the evidence, everything related to the moon missions has been destroyed. They don't want you looking at it and saying, yeah, that little rocket ship there did not go to the moon. No way. And that is the number one reason why we are not able to go to the moon now, why I don't believe we ever went to the moon, because for the first time in history, we have got a situation where technology has devolved. I'm going to show you some images here. If you're watching the video, great. Otherwise, just imagine these images, okay? Here's an image of a phone from 1969. Now look at what we have for a phone. These smartphones. The space shuttle technology was 1/1,000,000th the computing power of a cell phone these days. It had the computing power of a typical calculator back then. They used calculator technology to travel to the moon. And now, with the technology we have at our disposal, we can't get to the moon today. It's the first time in history where technology has devolved. Look at a car from 1969. Look at the cars we have today. Far more advanced. Phones, far more advanced. Motorcycles, airplanes, everything. Technology has advanced a ton. Yet, when it comes to space travel, it has devolved. It has, in fact, gone extinct. It is non-existent. We cannot do it. How unbelievable is that, you guys? It's very unbelievable. I can't believe there's their bullshit lie that we just, we destroyed it and it's just too painstakingly hard to recreate this technology. Bullshit, you guys. You never had it. You don't have it now. You didn't have it then. Russia and the U.S. were in a space race back then. They were actually far more advanced than we were. They put the first animal or human into space. All of a sudden, U.S. just out of the blue flies people to the moon, and they're just like, okay, wow, that's crazy. And then so now, a lot of people are thinking, well, if they faked the moon mission, what about all the people at NASA? What about all the people we were watching that were at NASA headquarters that were running the show outside of the shuttle here on Earth? Like, were all those people lying? And the answer is no. Those people had no idea what was going on. Many people who work in NASA said that when they ran simulations, they couldn't tell the difference between a simulation and real life because all it is just images and numbers and shit on a computer screen. There really is no proof that they're doing what they say they're doing. They're just watching numbers and lines and graphs and everything changing. They're just looking at data. The data could be created any way they wanted to. They didn't actually have to fly to the moon. These people said they did not know the difference between a simulation and what was happening in real life, so they could have very easily faked it. The only thing we had was our video footage, which the images are fake. You can tell they've been doctored over the years. The color of the ground has changed several times. The background has changed several times. There have been many instances where it's been proven that a lot of the images were photoshopped. The image that they took of them on the moon with Earth off in the distance, fake. It wasn't real. The Earth is actually bigger at that moment than it was when they were halfway to the moon and they showed this tiny little dot. My point is, most of that image itself, 100% fake. They said it was fake. It's admitted by NASA that was a photoshopped image. It's not real. Just like everything else, NASA always doctors their images. They're fake photos. None of it's real. And if you study these original photos, well, you can't study the original photos because they don't exist. But if you study these photos, There are signs of fraud all over them. They didn't have any light sources other than the sun, yet there's shadows being cast on things from multiple directions. Different directions, meaning there had to be multiple light sources, just like there is in a studio, so that the image was clear. The background, there's absolutely no stars to ever be seen. They cannot see stars in the background. I can't remember what they used as an excuse for that, but the astronauts were like, I don't remember seeing stars when we were out there. That was their explanation for it. Everything that I'm talking about, whether it be the footage that's been destroyed, the shuttle that's been destroyed, the blueprints to the shuttle that's been destroyed, all of these could be episodes on their own because it's so intricate when you talk about the cover up here, what they had to do to hide this information from the public. And it's insane. People have died because of this, you guys. NASA brought back what was called space rocks to give to other countries as gifts, and just idiotic dumb shit that they do like that can obviously be proven later on in life, that when you're able to do forensics and fucking like investigate certain shit. They found out that one of the moon rocks that they brought back as a gift and gave it to another country, they found out it was petrified wood. It was not a space rock at all. And then I don't remember the lie that NASA used for that, but it was a complete fucking sham. It was these space rocks they said they got from the moon. Petrified wood. Never went to the moon, you guys. Never ever happened. And the only evidence that you need to prove that they didn't go to the moon is the Van Allen radiation belts, man. That's all you need. We do not have the ability to go through them today. So how could we have done that 50 fucking years ago? With technology 1/1,000,000th the computing power of a typical cell phone today. Whoops, sorry about that. We don't have the technology to get there. Russia said they, right now, do not have the technology to go to the moon. China said they're 15 years away from being able to travel to the moon because of the technology that they do not have yet. They're, in some instances, they're more technologically advanced than we are. These are the guys who create all of this wicked gaming shit, whatever. They always have it first, but they've admitted they're 15 years away from being able to travel to the moon, and that's being optimistic. We can't go to the moon. We didn't go to the moon. It's that simple, you guys. Prove me wrong. That's all I ask. And to be honest, this is all related, you guys. Everything is related. Werner von Braun, a known Nazi, came over just after World War II, created NASA, basically was given NASA as a shell company from Prescott Bush. And it's literally a shell company to just make the globalists more and more money. It's all about money. They're hiding information and money from us like they always do. It's an information war. Think about this stuff. The fact that the technology doesn't exist to go to the moon today, the media never talks about it. That information is hard to figure out. You have to actually do research to figure that out, but nobody ever talks about it. Why? Because they don't want you knowing that stuff. They destroyed all the evidence that we ever went to the moon. Nobody ever tells you that. You don't hear about that in school. Why? Because they do not want you to know about that. There's a radiation belt surrounding the Earth that does not allow you to safely travel through. We cannot do it. They won't tell you that. They do not want you to know that. All you have to do is critically think about what happened. Just question it for a second and you will realize that is absurd. There's no fucking way that happened. Why did they destroy? Just ask the question, why did you guys destroy everything? It's crazy to even think about why they would do it. That shit doesn't happen. But they did it because they do not want you knowing about it. They don't want you looking at it. They don't want you to investigate it at all. They don't want you asking questions. It's an information war, man. They legit told you 22 years ago that these homeless dudes, they look like fucking homeless people, jumped on a plane and somehow flew for hours the most secure airspace in the world. They were able to crack through their security, smash 2 planes into buildings, 3 when you count the plane that was able to fly in circles for an hour or so, and then somehow nosedive and get just feet above the ground, smash in to the bottom floor of the Pentagon, the most secure building in the world probably, without anybody stopping them. And it just so happened to crash into the section of the Pentagon that happened to be doing accounting that was actually, at that moment, investigating the trillions of dollars that went missing that was announced by Rumsfeld just the day before. They were literally at that moment investigating the trillions of dollars that had gone missing at the Pentagon that was announced by Rumsfeld just the day before. And then all of a sudden, a plane smashes into that section of the Pentagon, destroying everything and changing everybody's focus off of the trillions of dollars that was announced missing just 24 hours beforehand. And now we were focused on terror. They don't talk about the whole story. They don't want you to think about it. They want you to just believe what they say. This is what happened. Yeah, happened. I mean, you saw it on TV. It happened for sure. Don't ask questions, guys. Just believe everything you see on TV. Everything is nonsense. You have to question everything because you are constantly being lied to. Nothing is what it seems. Yet I'm crazy for questioning any of this shit, dude. Maybe if they were more believable. I don't know. Whatever. I probably just made a shit show here. This podcast probably sucked because I usually, when I go back to edit it to get it put out for you guys, is when I realize, man, I did a horrible job. So I'm sorry if it sucks. Please, again, do your own research. I think that you'll find everything that I said to be factual. I really do. There's a lot of nonsense out there. You have Neil deGrasse Tyson, who will probably be the first thing that pops up when you try to Google or search any of this stuff. But if you know what you're doing, if you know how to research certain things and avoid the propaganda, then you'll be able to, I'm sure you'll be able to find exactly what you need. But here's the thing. When you actually look at the statistics, a large percentage of the population doesn't believe it. A large percentage of the population believes that the CIA was behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy. A large percentage of the population thinks that the narrative surrounding the JFK assassination is wrong. There are people out there calling bullshit, but you just don't know about it because they don't share that information with you. I wouldn't be surprised if 50% of the people who live on this planet do not believe we landed on the moon. But it's crazy, man. It's not really a conspiracy theory. It's just taking information, analyzing it, and making a decision and being like, yeah, no way that happened. You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to know that we didn't land on the moon. I'm not even sure if that makes sense, people. That's a weird one. Anyways, I think that's going to be about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, if this is your first time, please subscribe, follow, share, like, do all of it. This video is actually going to be on YouTube, so please subscribe to the YouTube. You know, YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute are the video platforms that I put the videos out. Usually it's just Rumble and BitChute because of what I'm talking about. This one will be on YouTube. Social media is going to be Getter, Truth Social, Twitter, and Facebook if you want, but the podcast is on basically everything. I'm going to keep trying to get it on more platforms, but your main platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, most of those, all of those, you can listen to the show. So please subscribe there and share it with your friends and family, man. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Do your own research. Like I said, it's really important that you do that. Not only that, but it's good for you, man. It makes you more aware. It's always good to do your own research. Just be that guy, be that girl, be that whatever. I can't call it. All right. Thanks again for watching. And until the next time, keep your eyes open because there's some shit going on. See ya.